Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to this edition of SportsView on Monday, the 19th of May, 2025. Good evening, Joe, and welcome.
Good evening, Pat. Evening, Derwynne.
Good evening, Derwynne, and welcome.
Hey, Pat. How you, Joe?
And
Good.
John will be with us in a few minutes. John Loftus, I can see that he's coming in again, John. And we have, I suppose, a lot to look forward to this week. The soccer season is winding down all over Europe, including the Cross Channel in the UK. And we know that, let me see, I have my notes on here. Galatasaray are the champions in Turkey again. Bayern Munich are the champions in Germany. Indeed, Harry Kane won his very first medal as a senior soccer player. I mean, after, what was he, 22 years as a professional. You know, he's won his first medal as the Bundesliga champions with Bayern Munich. Barcelona are champions in Spain. Napoli are not champions yet in Italy, but all they have to do is win their last match, which I'm sure they'll do that. Liverpool are the champions in the UK. PSG have won again in France. And Celtic are the champions in Scotland.
And PSV won in Holland.
And PSV won the. Good evening, John. How are you?
What a collapse that was by Ajax.
Oh my God, there were 9 points there at one stage.
Yeah, something like that. Ridiculous.
And PSG won it by a point, 79-78. You know, they won the league in the Netherlands or Holland or Holland. Good evening. John has gone again. John will don't worry. And the Premiership over the week, there was a win for Everton, Forest, Fulham, Leicester City, Arsenal, Villa, and Chelsea. Crystal Palace made history over the weekend when they won the FA Cup for the very first time in their history. There's a ticker tape celebration there with the FA. It's a fabulous trophy, and it was well deserved, I think. There was I didn't see the match. I only saw the. I didn't see the match as it happened. I don't know what I was doing. I didn't see the match, and there was a few talking points from the game. Although my own personal thing is, I'm delighted Palace won. I'm delighted Man City lost. That's me. That's just my opinion. There was a controversial incident in the match whereby the goalkeeper for Crystal Palace handled the ball outside the box. Joe, what did you think of
that? I thought it was a red card. I thought if by
the laws,
by his positioning in relation to where Haaland was, Henderson was already on the right on Haaland's left.
Yeah.
So Haaland was running onto the ball and he was going to control it and it was going to be in the back of the net. And Henderson, when he reaches out and the ball away, I mean, it's a 90-degree angle. The ball goes at right angles away.
Yeah.
So for anybody to turn around and say, and then I'm reading stupid stuff online, like guys saying, well, if he keeps going, Henderson's going to get a boot in the stomach. Henderson was a yard away from where Haaland was going.
Yeah.
And the only reason he was able to make contact with the ball was to reach across himself like that.
Yeah.
And away.
Now,
and that was it.
We all know that when the goalkeeper handles the ball outside the box, it's a free kick.
But you know what? The excuse they give, right, is that because both of his feet were inside the penalty area, then it was only a yellow card. So someone explained to me, if an outfield player has 2 feet outside the box and he handles the ball inside the box, denying somebody a goal scoring opportunity, Is that only a free kick and not a penalty?
Well, by VAR's logic, yeah, it would not be a penalty.
So that's what I don't understand. And especially, you can debate whether the penalty is a penalty or not. It's probably a soft penalty, but he saves that. And then he makes a great save from Doku and takes one out the top corner.
Yes.
So,
He played very
he makes a difference in the game by being on the field. And for those people that turn around and say, well, it's a big game. A referee should not be sending people off in a big game like that. Well, if you remember Manchester United playing, I think it was Everton, when Kevin Moran got sent off.
Yeah, I remember when Kevin Moran got sent off, yeah.
Yeah. So that referee didn't worry about ruining.
Yeah, as you said, Joe, I thought, yeah, you were saying that I thought the rules were the same, whether the game was important or not. All games were important.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. We had the same thing with Grimsby. We were playing Halifax at Wembley in the.
Hi, John.
Hey, John.
Hello, folks. How are you doing?
Oh, yeah.
You're okay, John. We're just talking about the FA Cup final between Crystal Palace and Man City, and the incident where the goalkeeper handled the ball outside the box. And the reason they gave for it, Joe, was his 2 feet were inside in the penalty area. Is that what they said, Joe?
That's what one of the criteria was. As Michael O'Hare would have said, he has 18 by 44 of a parallelogram to handle the ball in.
Yeah.
And, he handles it outside, and there's no punishment to him for it. So that. But anyway, I mean, it doesn't matter. It was a great day for Palace, and they won it. But the excuses being trotted out are just, to me.
They made history. They made history.
I have to say, though, I mean, City dominated that game, but they don't look right at all, do they?
No. And all you had to do, if you wanted to look how this game was going to go, and one of the commentators said that early in the game, said, did Glasner watch Manchester United in a low block play City last year in the final? Well, all he had to do was watch the game last week against Southampton. Yeah. Southampton dropped behind the ball, dropped 10 players, field players, behind the ball and counter-attacked. And City did exactly the same thing as they did that you're speaking about there, Derwynne. All they did was play across the front.
Yeah, sideways all the time.
Yeah. They wouldn't, in the first half, their wingers did not get behind the fullbacks and get crosses in. Their fullbacks or their centre halves handled the ball more than their midfield players handled the ball. And you had no midfielders making runs into the box to make anything happen. It was just all side to side, and it was slow.
Yeah.
I think.
Go on.
I think City have actually. I nearly want to say they've run out of ideas.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
And Foden comes on and does nothing, and barely even touches the ball.
Who's that?
Foden. When he came on, he barely touched the ball.
Yeah.
And then if you look at Doku, he's the only one who looks like he's got a spark in him.
He did in the second half, and he tried to make things happen. But we've talked about this 101 times before. If you've got a guy like Haaland, right? Haaland is not a hold the ball up guy and bring other players into it. That's not his game.
No.
He doesn't really beat people. He's a guy that you play the ball into space for, and you let him run onto it. You create your opportunities, and you get crosses into the box to give him a chance to get on the end of stuff. And they did not do any of that. And it was a sad thing to watch, but Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne you look at those guys now and you realise they have run their course in the Premier League.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
Races running it.
I mean, they've been brilliant players for Man City. They were absolutely fantastic when they were at the top of their game. But right now, they have run out of ideas. Bernardo Silva did not, I don't think, went past anybody in the game. In the last 2 games I've watched City play.
Do you know what really surprised me, Joe, is he didn't bring Grealish on. Because Grealish got so many free kicks. Because he falls over for a hobby, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Oh my God, he's terrible attitude. Terrible player.
Getting free kicks. But they didn't even look like they were. I mean, some of the crosses that went over the lot and out by the byline.
Oh, they were terrible.
But who would you say is the leader on the pitch for Man City?
Well, it used to be Kevin De Bruyne, and it used to be, well, you know, you go back to Rodri, but I really don't think if Rodri plays at the weekend that he's making that big of a difference, because he can make runs forward, but he's more of the metronome guy that keeps the game going and moves it quicker. City now are playing like, it's like watching paint dry. They're so slow in moving the ball.
Yeah.
So, you know, they need, and I don't know where they're going to get him from, because they need a whole revamp of their midfield.
Yeah, I mean, Silva's done. De Bruyne's done. Gundogan or whatever.
There's another one. You know,
I think Foden to me is just a flash in the pan. He ain't as good as everybody likes to think he is.
No.
Well, you know, I think we're being a bit unfair to him, to be honest. He's just lost his way a little bit, which is not unusual for a young player. I mean, what's he? He's not. Is he in his mid-20s even?
Yeah,
maybe 24, 25.
24
So he's lost his way just a little bit.
He's with the wrong club.
Did, you know,
but do you not think that he was like, to me, he looked really good when all those other superstars were right on the ball.
Right.
And I think he was made look better by who he was playing with. And now that they've fallen away and are looking old and tired, Foden to me is looking like probably what he's always been. Just quite an ordinary player, but surrounded by superstars.
Yeah. That's a fair point. That's a fair description of him, you know.
I'm not saying he's rubbish, Joe, but he doesn't do it for England either.
No, to be honest, I've watched him and I really like him. I like him when he plays inside more than when he plays outside. He is able to get into the box, and he has got such a beautiful first touch, that he can make things happen in the box. When he's out in the wing, he's not really a wing type player, in my opinion. That is.
Yeah.
I'd rather see him inside 6 yards inside the width of the box, operating in those areas in there where he can operate in tight little spaces and do that. But, you know, I mean, I think that if City were still there today, they would still
have scored a goal, yeah.
No.
Well, anyway, what we'll say is congratulations to Crystal Palace.
Yes. And it's always great.
They made history. Yeah, it is. It's like Wimbledon in '88.
Right.
The crazy gang.
When they beat City.
Remember the crazy gang down in '88?
Yeah, crazy gang versus the Culture Club.
Yeah.
John Watson's famous quote, wasn't it?
That was a magic final. And of course, go back to Bob Stoke, was it Bob with Sunderland?
Sunderland, yeah.
Yeah, that was another famous one. But Liverpool are playing Brighton tonight, and Harvey Elliott has scored after 15 minutes. They're 1-0 up, and Trent Alexander-Arnold travelled with the team and the team bus as well down for that match. You know, it's a Premiership concern.
That's a big game tonight for Brighton.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Because Brighton could sneak into one of those European spots.
Oh, it is, yeah. I saw the interview with the owner on Sky Sports. That they said they're hopeful. But anyway, uh, Manchester United and Spurs have arrived in Bilbao for their joust on Wednesday night at the Europa League final. And if those things excite you, people in their tracksuits and their music going walking to the hotel as a piece of television. I know people look at their running out of stuff to show on TV. But anyway, I saw them all going into the hotel. All
Down there,
dressed.
who's going to win it, boys?
I see. You know, I saw a stat the other day, and John, you can tell me what you think of Spurs on this one. Manchester United, since the end of January to the present, have taken 15 points in the league. 15 points.
That's sad, isn't it?
Isn't it? It's a sad indictment of
What they get 15 points of light and bitter, is it?
yeah.
In the Nike's head.
Yeah.
You get more points for your license with United.
I know.
So back in the day, Joe, when in the GAA there was what was known, if you were knocked out in championship early on, as a losers group, and I see the Manchester United Spurs game as a losers cup final.
Yeah, in the Europa League. But the prize for the winners is entrance into the Champions League. So that's yeah. The prize of the final is in. Now, Man United Spurs are playing at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night. The Scottish Cup final is on Saturday, Aberdeen and Celtic. The Championship playoff is on Saturday as well. Sheffield United and Sunderland. One of them will join Leeds United and Burnley in the Premiership next season. And they've been up and down before anyway. But Celtic, to me, are on the British Isles. They're the biggest underachievers in soccer, with the wealth of the club and the support and the amount of people that support Celtic Football Club. They're not making a dent in the Champions League, and they qualify every year for the Champions League because they're champions. They're huge underachievers in soccer.
Well, again, I suppose, Pat, the situation there is you're as good as the competition you're coming out of very often. And
That's one.
Very easy to win in Scotland. How do you step it up? How do you, when you're not playing at that level on a consistent basis?
There was discussion on ITV about it, and I was eating my nails. I was saying, if Celtic want to compare themselves with a top club in Europe, leave Scotland, leave them, and go into the Championship in England and get promotion to the Premiership.
Wouldn't it? Don't you think it would be a bonus if the Premier League could have Rangers and Celtic in it?
Yeah, it would.
Even Aberdeen, bring Aberdeen into it.
Yeah.
You know, if you had, let's say you had two Scottish clubs coming into the Premier League. I mean, you imagine some of those games, Arsenal versus Celtic and United, Liverpool versus Celtic or Rangers.
Yeah.
I mean, surely it would be good for Scottish football, wouldn't it?
It'd be good for soccer in general, yeah.
Well, I don't know how would it be good for English football? We already have in the Premier League, the top league in the world, as is evidenced by the two teams that are playing on Wednesday night. And we're talking about, and John makes the exact point that it is the crux of it, is that you're only as good as your competition. And when you step up from the Scottish Premier League into Europe, it's a different animal, totally different animal. And you can say as much as you want that, they should be doing this, they should be doing that. For them to do as well as they did this year was a pretty darn good achievement. Considering what the preparation that they have for it. It's like we talk about, right? We talk about hurling and we talk about Munster hurling being the best in the country. And that prepares Limerick, Clare, Cork for the latter
Yeah.
stages of
For the
season.
for the battles ahead, yeah. For
Yeah.
the battles ahead, yeah. The level is.
Where-
I know what the point you're making, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So I don't see. I mean, Celtic and Rangers might find themselves in a relegation battle. I mean, how many points are they behind Celtic right now?
a lot.
Oh yeah, they're a long way, aren't they? Long way.
Well,
Yeah, and I mean, so they can't
Well,
even keep pace with Celtic
I mean,
playing the same opposition.
Man City showed that you can buy the Premier League. They showed that you can buy the Premier. I'm not saying Celtic can buy the Premier League and buy the Scottish League, but they have huge resources,
Right.
huge resources, and they should put it into the team. It doesn't matter if they win the Scottish League by 100 points or 1 point. It makes no difference to the club. They're still champions. They're still in the Champions League. And I think they should be looking outside of Scotland to make progress as a club,
But
as a force.
you also only have to look at, I mean, if you're looking at big picture here, you're looking at not so many years ago that both Rangers and Celtic were nearly bankrupt.
Well, that's true as well, yeah.
So
Well,
tried,
Rangers went bankrupt, didn't they? When they
Yeah.
relegated.
and that was after, I mean, Rangers went all in after the English teams got banned from Europe.
Yeah,
So Graham Souness brought all those guys up to Rangers, Gascoigne and Trevor
Yeah.
Saban, all those guys up there, the big centre half from Ipswich that he brought up there. And they rode the gravy train for a little bit, but then at the end of it, they paid the price for it. Once the English clubs came back into Europe, none of the English players needed to go up there and play anymore. So it's very difficult, I think, even when you talk about the resources that they have. Celtic nearly bankrupted themselves trying to keep up with Rangers at that point.
yeah.
So there's, I think, the equivalent that you're making there is that Celtic do, to a certain degree, buy the Scottish title because they have more money to spend than anybody else up there.
Yeah.
But it'd be an interesting experiment. But I'm not too sure how well it would work out for Rangers and Celtic.
Maybe they should have a playoff with Celtic and Rangers with the last two teams in the Premiership. I don't know, really. Well, I don't think Man United will move up to the Scottish League, Derwynne, would they? If they have to
We
play.
don't need to. We don't need to move up there. We're in a European final.
Yeah, we've been lifting European silverware on Wednesday.
Yeah. Sports News program. All the information on the screen. Press the red button to subscribe to our channel. All the programs are up on our YouTube channel. Derwynne, over the weekend, the Scottish Sheffield won the PGA Championship. Did you see any of it?
Yeah.
And
I
he
watched
won.
a bit of it last night.
He won at minus 11 under, 69, 68, 67, 71. He won over $3 million for his weekend work, which is great, really.
Yeah, he's not too much worried about that bit.
No, but
He is one good player, that guy.
Ian, tell me one thing. How can a professional golfer play with an illegal club? What is an illegal club?
They were going on about something about the grooves, weren't they? On one of his.
No, Rory McIlroy had an illegal club in his bag, the driver. It was illegal.
Oh, but that goes back to the Masters too, doesn't it?
Yeah, what's that about?
Oh, they're saying that the club's. It's something to do with the trampoline effect on the face is too lively. So the golf clubs, the faces on golf clubs now have a trampoline.
Yeah.
That and it brings the ball off at a fraction faster.
Yeah.
And they're saying that McIlroy's tailor-made driver is, so if it's tested by the RNA, it passes. But when they tested it by the USGA, it failed. And now you've got this nonsense now that it's the machine that's wrong, not the club. So the machine's giving two different readings.
And he didn't give any interviews during the whole of the weekend to anybody. McIlroy.
No,
He didn't speak to the media.
I think he's petrified too, isn't he? Because of the nonsense that's going on again about the girl interviewer, isn't it? That Belenese or something.
Yeah, she's a fine girl.
Is that coming around again?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. There's no smoke without fire. It might be white smoke, but there's still no smoke without fire.
She's been dropping a few hints and stuff like that, apparently, in interviews.
Well, it wouldn't be too bad if she's just dropping a few hints. Anyway.
But you gotta give it to Scheffler, right? Because he played that front nine so badly, and whatever was said on that 10th tee by the caddy turned it around, because he played the back nine like a different player.
Yeah, I had Bryson DeChambeau and Noren back each way. You know.
Rahm helped him out a little bit.
John Rahm had a disaster 16 and 17.
Yeah, he helped him out a little bit, but
yeah.
So he is one strong-minded player, I tell you. Because he was really ragged on that front nine. He was driving the ball so bad. But he somehow he has a switch that he can tap into.
He's a good golfer, Scheffler. There's no doubt about that. Was his third major, was it?
Yeah, third, yeah.
Third major.
But I mean, the question then you ask is, I mean, if he was so poor in the front nine, why didn't the rest of the field take advantage of that? And
yeah,
they weren't able to.
Well, they all had a goodish. DeChambeau was at 900 at one stage, and
Rahm was at 9 as well.
Rahm was at 900. They were all tied together for one time, and then the course got him.
I think Rahm just pushes it, and I think he just keeps pushing too hard sometimes, and he blows up.
Well, anyway, the ladies' European tour as well. They were playing the Dutch Open. Obviously, that she's a terrific golfer. That girl from England, Mimi Rhodes. She's won a few times now. Mimi Rhodes is her name. She's won a few times. And she won at 900. She had three rounds of 69. Mimi Rhodes. But there were a few young Irish golfers in the field, and Lauren Walsh, I've been following her for a while now. She's doing very well. She finished 8th on -5, and Amy Foster finished 12th. So they had a reasonably good weekend of it. Anyway, rugby, Munster had to win Friday night, was it, John? Yeah, the Munster had to win against Benetton to keep their place, their participation in the European Rugby Cup. And they duly obliged down in Musgrave Park in Cork. That's the Munster. They beat Benetton 30-21. It was a terrific win for them in the URC. And Edinburgh beat Ulster 47-17. And Connacht beat Zebra 22-12. Leinster beat Glasgow 13-5. And Rogers back in the horse again in La Rochelle. They beat Montpellier, my favourite place in France, 47-18. So they're back again, La Rochelle. They're doing well in the top 14 and about. And in Formula One, we had the usual suspects. Verstappen won in Imola. Piastri was second, and Norris third, and Hamilton had a very good. He went from 8th or 9th, and he finished 4th. So there you are. And Piastri is still leading. Norris is second, and Verstappen in the Drivers' Championship in Formula One. So we get on to where we were yesterday, John. Where I
Yeah.
spent yesterday. There's the man of the match yesterday, Kyle Hayes, with his manager, John Kiley.
Unbelievable.
Words aren't coming easily to me now, but it was a complete performance by Limerick, and that's the way you describe it. A complete performance.
It,
With a,
it was, yeah.
with a complete performance in front of 40,000 people.
Yeah.
Sweltering hot day, sweltering hot. I mean, the fitness of the players on both sides to compete in that heat, it was terrific. But we'll wait for you again. We'll meet you again.
Yeah,
John, I have one question for you.
yeah.
When you were at the match yesterday, could
I
you
was.
could you hear Pat sobbing on the
I saw enough of them sobbing. Yeah, not that in particular, but it was the biggest crowd I ever saw at anything. The only reaction was when Hoggy scored a goal to bring them back to 10 points. The crowd went wild, and then about a minute later, Limerick scored a goal from a penalty, and that killed that. And as the Kerryman said about his bike up against the wall, that was gone. So,
well, it was gone in after 17, 18 minutes when you were looking at the trend throughout the whole field of play.
yeah, Pastor, what was amazing was how poorly some of the Cork players played. I mean, the rightly so.
I was thinking
Fitzgibbon has been huge, but he didn't hardly hit a ball yesterday.
No, I was thinking that John Kiley and his backroom staff had Limerick set up perfectly for the match. Cork had a 2-week break. The management of the Cork team, I don't know what they were doing for the 2 weeks. Probably taking photographs and signing autographs. That's all that seemed to be done to me, because there was no leadership on the field at all. At all, nobody, no leadership on the field. And I'm afraid the management of Pat Ryan, this is a feature under his management. They have failed in a lot of big games under his stewardship, as we know, John. Down last couple of years, when it's been put on the line, they haven't been up to the challenge, so to speak.
And the other thing I'll say, there's been so much hype about them. And I think an amount of the players seemed yesterday to have bought into that hype, that they expected things to happen. Things only happen with savage work, especially in a day like yesterday. And
the hype is caused by the media, talking to their hat,
But
and I was at the league final with Cork and Tipperary, as you know, and they played very well in that league final, and they won the league, which was something, which is the second competition for hurlers. And after that, they haven't driven on. They haven't driven on. They beat a 14-man Tipperary team, and they lost a 15-point lead against Clare. So the signs are there. The signs are there that there is something not completely right in the team. But we all know what some of them are, Too much loyalty to some players. Patrick Horgan has been a fantastic hurler for Cork, and but he should not have been on the team on the field yesterday.
Yeah,
I counted 12 balls that came in between himself and his marker, and he didn't win one of them. No, he wasn't capable of winning one of them. And so you cannot have a player on the field that's performing like that.
Yeah, fairness to him as well. He's 36 years old, and in those conditions yesterday,
he's 37. He's 37 this month.
Well, 37, right. So, and he was found out yesterday. But again, the conditions didn't suit him, and he should have been probably pulled off.
But Pat Ryan played Robert Downey, who was injured. He's injured. He had to take him off. But there's like a foul in the World Cup against the All Blacks when he played Matt Hansen on the wing, who was injured. and the All Blacks destroyed Ireland on that wing. It's the same yesterday with a pivotal position in hurling is centre back, number 6.
But
And
then,
to put in,
but then they also, for some reason, took him from centre back. In fact, for most of the game, and had
they
him
put,
change Hegarty.
they
Hegarty
put,
was a massive character.
artists. I'm blue in the face from. I watched it over last night, and it was still as bad as ever. As I said to someone, it was worse. It was worse last night to watch it.
So,
Did you watch
you
it,
know,
Joe?
when you're talking about, Cork and Limerick there, and Cork beat Limerick in the semi-final
Last year.
Ireland last year,
Yeah,
right? So, was it that Limerick were below form in that match?
Yeah. Well,
Cork were at the top of their game, and
yeah,
was
Cork
it the difference?
in the final, Joe, did something very simple. They isolated Kyle Hayes, who now has been moved to centre back. So Kyle Hayes covers the width of the field. He's an incredible athlete. But
he was wing forward against Cork in that match.
correct. And they just had him out on the wing, marking a Cork wing forward, and they didn't hit any ball in that direction. And Limerick did not react to that in time. They did in the final 15 minutes or thereabouts, and almost, in fact, probably should have won the game because Aaron missed a sitter score.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I agree with that.
If that was the big weakness last year, Cork had a simple plan: keep Kyle Hayes, the most likely ball winner, off the ball as much as possible.
Yeah,
and they achieved that.
and Limerick achieved it by keeping the Cork forwards, two or three Cork forwards who were match winners. They kept the ball away from them. It didn't matter where they hit; they just hit it away. And any ball came in, just hit it away. And
but then the Limerick forwards played great though yesterday, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, no, they did. They got loads of room to free them up, Cork and Yale.
But Pat, at this stage, I actually believe, and I've been following Limerick all my life, but in this particular run, they now have assembled the best panel they ever had. Even when they won the 4 in a row, the panel was not as strong as it is now, because a couple of very good young guys have come into it. A couple of them are starting, and there's 3 or 4 others, every bit as good on the sideline. And then
English and O'Neill have gone into the team now, and a few more of them as well, and they certainly belong. But the worst thing about this carry on in the way that the structure of the championship is, if Cork win next Sunday, they'll meet Limerick in the Munster final.
correct.
And if both Cork and Limerick keep winning, they'll meet again in the All-Ireland final. That's 3 times Cork and Limerick. And there's nobody going to go to see Cork and Limerick 3 times with due respect to the 2 teams, I mean, it's 35 quid a pop, like. And the disappointment for me wasn't the hurling. The disappointment to me yesterday was Limerick are on top of the last 7 or 8 years in hurling. They have generated a lot of income, money-wise, both from their benefactor and from the gate receipts. And the seating in the Mackey stand is a disgrace for a hurling match. There was a fella sat down beside me, and half his arse was nearly up on top of me because the seat is too small. I said to him, man, I don't fancy you. I said, I'd like you to push over a small bit, and the match is over. And I said, the seats are made for midgets. I mean, with respect to midgets. And they were just not good enough for €35 to sit in a seat like that. And they're not graduated enough in the stand, So a guy comes in, he's 6'2". That's the end of your game, You can't see.
Fair point.
You can't see through. It's very, 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 very poor.
You have to take a cushion with you, Pat.
I won't. I'll take a stick the next time.
Derwynne, that's a very good bit of advice.
Well, John, I know we all bowling, but John, I went out in at half time and I was contemplating, but I said, no, I won't. I'll go in for the second half. I might have watched a while of it. I met Willie O'D out in the crowd, Joe. I know Willie and he knows me. He said, hiya, Pat. I said, how do you think I am? Have a guess, like that, Tim, The rogue is smarter,
Hey, Joe.
What section are you in, Pat?
Huh?
What section of the Pakistan are you in?
I was in section 210.
210. I was in. Is it 210 or 110?
No, 210.
210. Yeah, I was in.
Towards the inner road side, towards the clear side.
You were down from me then because I was. I was 08.
Yeah. But by the time I walked into town from the match, I was a completely different human being. I had put it away. Filed it away in the back of my head. We had a good laugh on it Sunday night in Enzo's different, so it was fine.
Yeah.
But, that's a grand. It's just a match.
I was glad not that we beat Cork by that much. I was glad for the players simply because listening to the bullshit that has gone on, especially in relation, as you said rightly, to the press, the very same press who will now be cutting the shite out of Waterford or out of Cork.
Yeah. Now look, it's very fickle. It's a very fickle business. The media is a very fickle business.
Headlines at the end of the day.
I can tell you, if Manchester United win the Europa League, wins tonight, they'll say, we'll give Amaran a 10-year contract.
Less of the if.
Yeah, but I think Amaran should be given his P45 anyway.
And so should Patrick have
yeah. I think he should. Anyway. The man is out of his depth. He reminds me of Louis van Gaal, caught in the headlights. He reminds me of the rabbit crossing the road in the headlights.
I wouldn't be surprised, as I said last week, to see that game finish 6-5 to who, I don't know, but
Depends which goalkeeper they put in. If they put Banana in, there's a chance Spurs have got a chance, haven't they?
Yeah, for Christ's sake. Well, Spurs, all they've done, in God knows when, is just get rid of or sell good players and keep the rubbish.
Yeah. It's 2-1. It's 2-1 in the match at halftime, coming up to halftime. Harvey Elliott and Sabassalai at Iera. It's 2-1. They're playing injury time in the first half, so it looks like a good match, all right, To the USA, they have a channel. I have a channel here on the stick. USA, they show the highlights of the Premiership later on. I might watch it tonight. So,
anyway, a good thing for your standard, I intended to say this a moment ago, Pat, that if Cork do beat Waterford, which you'd expect them to, then the Munster final is in Limerick.
Yeah, it's a disgrace.
It's in the Gaelic grounds?
It's in the Gaelic
grounds. I won't be going there again, spending 35 quid to sit on to sit on a plastic seat.
I'm going to send you a booster seat.
No, it's sitting on a plastic seat with no number on it. You had to count the usher had to count them 1, 2, 3. They're not even numbers on the seats.
So how long is it? How long is it since they've done any work on the Gaelic grounds?
About 100 years, I'd say.
I think those seats must be the same seats that I used to sit in when I was a young fella.
It wouldn't surprise you if they were there watching McMackey on those seats. I don't know.
They're since about
I have to say though,
1990.
The great goal.
What?
The goal the Lynch's goal.
Well, the one he made, yeah, unbelievable.
Even if you took the 3 goals away from Limerick, they'd still have won the match at the ease.
Yeah.
when you look at the scoreline.
What Lynch can do, Joe, is unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, like he sees things that nobody else sees. You're at a match and you're saying to yourself, did he really do that? And you can't wait to get home to watch it on television again to see just what he did, because it's.
Well,
The
hurling match between Dublin and Kilkenny was a terrific match, an absolutely terrific game of hurling. And I tell you, whoever will be meeting Dublin in the quarter final of the All Ireland, because they will qualify, will have their work cut out. I don't care who they are, whether they're Tipperary or Cork or Waterford, they have their work cut out. They're a terrific young team, and there's a lot of investment gone into hurling in Dublin now, and I think it's bearing fruit. I'm not saying they're going to win the Ireland, but they'll be a very, very hard team to beat, as Kilkenny will be as well. But we have. I played a clip here one night, and a few of my friends asked me would they be watching tonight when I show me it on. Would I play the thing? You remember Larry O'Gorman, John?
Yeah, indeed.
Well, the lads are this before. This is for all the GA players out there who are struggling with their fitness.
2004, John Conran, Martin Quigley and these lads, and Jim Keeley came in. I said, look, lads, we'll have to get these yokes on your back, to see how your training is going and progress or whatever.
The GPS and all, yeah.
Yeah, you have to do so many runs per week or so many mileage per week. More or less said, if you can't do it, Larry,
you're gone.
You're gone. That's what it was more or less saying. But it was showing up then. We played a couple of league games. It was getting lower. He said, Larry, you still have to get your numbers up. So what did I do? Down to my local hurling pitch. Benny, my little dog. Come over here, Benny. With a yoke on him. And I was hitting the hurling ball up and down the field about 50 or 60 times. I said, that mileage now should be up. I handed it back to Jim Keelty the following Tuesday night.
The GPS.
I said, Jim, here's my GPS. He'll take it off. He rang me the next day. He says, Larry, you're a Superman. I said, Jim, I took a week off work and I ran me arse. I said, good man, Larry, boy, you're back in.
That never gets old.
You remember him? You remember Larry O'Gorman, John?
Yeah, well. He was on Limerick in the 1986.
Larry was on the good ones. He was a good hurler.
The song Dancing at the Crossroads. And you remember Larry Gorman through the midfield, he was storming. So that was but actually, Joe, and if you're into that type of thing, it's the two Johnnies with those guys, and it's on YouTube, and it's absolutely he's a laugh.
The two Johnnies, but that to me was one of the highlights.
Absolutely brilliant. Put it on my little dog.
Put it on the dog and hit the ball down the field. They're probably all at it anyway, I don't know. But anyway, dear me. You can't be. But the situation in the Premiership is Liverpool have 83 points and Arsenal have 71. Newcastle have 66. Chelsea have 66. Villa on 66. Man City on 65. Now Man City have a game less than all the rest of them played. So they have 2 games to play. And Forest on 65. So the most Forest could get is 68 points, And they can't overcome Arsenal in second place. And 60. The only team that can pass Arsenal out are Man City if they win their last 2 games. And I don't know who they're playing in the last 2 games, but I didn't look it up.
Well, they have Bournemouth tomorrow, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's City Bournemouth tomorrow, and then it's City City I think have got. Oh, is it City and Fulham? Is the last game?
I think Fulham beat Brentford today, didn't they?
So yeah, but you know what? After watching City for the last 2 weeks.
Well, Man City are at home to Bournemouth. You're right. Tomorrow night at 8:00, and I'm just looking it up here now.
I could see him losing at Bournemouth.
I can. Well, they're playing Bournemouth at City, I think.
Etihad, yeah.
And they're away to Fulham on Sunday at 4:00.
That won't be an easy place.
Well, I'll be down in Cork at the Hurling match anyway.
Fulham still have a chance after they beat Brentford at the weekend. They still have a chance of getting into Europe, don't they?
Yeah. They've had I thought they've had a good year for the club, you know.
Be a real shame if City misses out, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Says a Man United supporter.
Yeah.
I was torn on Saturday, I tell you. I mean, I hate Man City, but I hate South London as well.
Are you an equal opportunity here?
No, I tell you, there's only what. Look,
I hate. Derwynne, you're right. I hated the two teams, but I hated one more than the rest.
Exactly. I had to work out. I don't know if I could forgive Palace for like being horrible to Cantona.
Yes.
And then there's South London as well. That don't help. And then I was like, oh, it's City. I mean, I'd support the Taliban if they were playing City.
Yeah. There you go.
Is that where Cantona had the kung fu kid?
That's yeah.
Yeah. Everybody was.
Oh, Grandma, what a long memory you've got. Let it go, for God's sake.
I've got to try and learn to forgive a bit, haven't I, Joe?
That's how Bruce Lee picked up all his moves.
Yeah. And
Bruce Lee copied Cantona.
I meant to ask you, Derwynne, when does the official cricket season begin?
Started last weekend.
Yeah. There's a one-day international with Zimbabwe on Thursday, is it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I was reading about that. That used to be Rhodesia in the old days, wasn't it? Zimbabwe. Yeah. And they're playing lads if you're over in London. They're playing in Trent Bridge.
Trent Bridge, yeah, Nottingham.
Yeah. And is that one of the spiritual homes of cricket in England?
I suppose it would be, really. I mean, Trent Bridge is an old cricket ground.
Yeah.
And Forest.
And Old Trafford.
Yeah, you got Old Trafford across from Man United.
Yeah.
And then Headingley.
Yeah, by Leeds.
Oh, Headingley, I forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah, you've got a few. And Durham's big now.
Well,
the Durham ground is big as well now.
And who was which team would be? I know nothing about cricket. Which team? Some say I know nothing about hurling. I don't just is. What about Derwynne? What club team would be considered the strongest team now in England competing?
Surrey, probably.
Surrey.
Oh. Oh God.
Yeah. Surrey play at the Oval.
The Oval. That's the one I couldn't remember. The Oval, yeah.
And you've got Middlesex that plays at Lords.
Lords, yes.
Yeah.
With your tea and cucumber sandwiches and your
everything nice in London's north of that river. Nothing south of that river.
No.
Even the train stations on the north side are lovely. Everything down south's horrible.
What's the main railway station in England? In the tube station. Oh.
You know,
hundreds of tube stations.
Is it King's Cross?
King's Cross is big. You've got Paddington's big. St. Pancras.
Well, I'll tell you what now, Derwynne, you dare yourself. If you come out of King's Cross and go around to the very back of it, there's an old-style cafe there, one of the last old-style cafes there, and you can have a full breakfast, fry up and all, tea or coffee and toast for £7.
I'll go and find it.
Fly into London for.
There was a friend of mine there recently who was telling me this. He said, we came across this place. God, you know. And he was over for a funeral, actually, but he said they discovered this cafe. And it's well known, except if people visiting wouldn't know of it, you know. Mm-hmm. And I said, that's up my alley. I wrote down the book, kept it. You never know. When you need some sustenance like that, you know, you don't get anything for £7 today.
I was going to say
a pint.
That's a good. Yeah, no, Guinness now is Guinness is $9.50 in London.
Is it? That's London is nearly as bad as Temple Bar.
Yeah.
Oh, scary. Scary.
Oh my God.
So everybody drinks water now.
Yeah. And,
You should get a spot in Temple Bar before you order around.
well, I'll tell you, if anyone is planning going to the Munster final in the Gaelic Crowns, I hope you have a big bladder because you won't be able to relieve yourself because there's only 2 toilets there, one at each end, you know. And I said to Willie O'D, would you accompany me out to the halfway line? I said at the break. I said I'll go to the toilet out there because I couldn't get into the gyms, you know.
If you'd run past, you wouldn't have noticed any of those things.
Huh? If we were winning, I wouldn't even know I'd have to go to the toilet.
They'd been winning, he would have been sitting on that bloke's lap.
Yeah, I know. There is a cause, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. So now, we'll see you again, John, anyway, you know.
Oh, okay.
And again, as I say.
God bless you. We have Clare next week. It's going to be very interesting to see what team we'll put out. Because
well, they'll be changing the Cork team anyway.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot.
Who do Cork play? Will Cork play Tipperary in the?
No. Cork are playing Waterford next Sunday, and they have to win it. If they win the match, they'll be into the Munster final. They'll be second against Limerick. Limerick are playing Clare, but they don't have to do anything in that match. They're already in the Munster final.
And Clare are out.
And Clare are gone. They're all Ireland champions are out. You know,
and what happens with Tipperary then? Do they just
Tipperary qualified for the quarter final of the Ireland as being the third place team? They've come on strong and they're a fairly hardy team now. You know, I must say that. They're a hardy team. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
lads.
Do you think, John, that it was only because Tipperary were playing with 14 men that Cork beat?
Oh, I was at the match, right? I think Cork, whether they'd have beaten 15 Tipperary players that day, I don't know myself. We never know, but they got a lucky break. You know. And then they lost a 15-point lead against Clare. You know, the signs are there of the...
Yeah, and actually, Cork scored the last point to draw that match.
Yeah, I remember. I saw that. Yeah. I remember. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, what's his name went off after 5 minutes against Limerick. Declan Dalton injured.
Yeah, he went. He was on his own at the time. It looked as if he did something for himself.
He's had a few knee injuries, you know, which is not a good thing at all, you know, when you injure your knee. Anyway, we won't make excuses to.
No.
As the winner takes it all, as they say, you know.
Yeah.
And Austria won the Eurovision Song Contest to home of Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
And anyway, on that positive note, we'll see you all again. We'll see you all again. We'll see you all again next Monday night with the help of God.
Nothing from this show.
I'll have a big seat in Cork in there, 50 room, elbow room, you know, anything. And take care. I'll go down to Cork here. Take care. They'll understand me down there.
He's going on about Hitler now.
Have a good week, lads, and thanks very much.
Take care, lads.
Boys.